As much as I love Magnolia and Hearth & Hand, I unfortunately didn't win the lottery this week. So instead, we're gonna go to the thrift store and see what we can come up with for a whole lot less. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you love Hearth & Hand and Magnolia, odds are you really love brass decor because it is carried throughout both lines in a really beautiful way, usually with a tendency for the brass to lean a little bit more patinaed than bright and shiny. Also usually a good mix of materials here with some sort of stone element and brass. You can definitely find this at the thrift store though, and for definitely a lot less money. For example, I found this little soap dispenser, really straightforward, 50 cents, in really good condition. Even something similar through Magnolia is going to be on sale for almost $15. So save in those small areas where you can while still getting an overall similar look. Now, when it comes to bigger pieces like brass lamps, brass vases, those things tend to be quite a bit more expensive through the Magnolia line, and you can definitely find this at the thrift store. One item specifically that I've really had my eye on for quite a while was this antique brass pitcher vase, but it's almost $100. So when I came across this really large scale patinaed brass vase, that was only $8, and then I got 35% off of that. Of course, it's not an identical dupe, but there are certain details in this vase here that make it a dead ringer for something that Magnolia would definitely sell. The first thing whenever I find any brass pieces is the brass starting to patina, and this one is, and it's doing so beautifully. Also, it has this hammered quality as well as this twisted detail on the handles. All of those things you'll see in different ways done on the Magnolia website. Whenever I'm looking at the Magnolia website, I like to look for repetition in shapes and colors and materials. So this twisted detail is all over the website. Found this really tall, skinny lamp at the thrift store for just $6. You could of course leave this as it is if you like the lampshade, if you're in need of a tall, skinny lamp, but I am not. So I decided to just remove the lighting component and make this the base for our faux brass side table. Simply by just removing the socket from the top, cutting all the cords, pulling them out, now you're just left with this base structure here. For the top of our little martini side table, you just always want to keep proportion and scale in the back of your mind. So because the base of this table is really small, I remembered that I had previously thrifted and DIY'd this other also really small tabletop. So I just took that piece and added it to this one. Just used some super glue gel here. You could also use E6000 here. Just make sure that everything is beginning to cure before you move it to take it outside to paint it whatever color you want. I did my typical aged brass paint. I'll link all of the supplies in the description box below. Because I had all of the supplies, this table really only cost $6, and I think it looks really beautiful on a budget. If you're somewhat new to thrifting and the idea of it just really intimidates you, one area of the thrift store that is always a must check for me and that you can usually get really lucky is glassware. Even the glassware through the Hearth & Hand line for me is overpriced, and just forget about Magnolia. Because truthfully, you can find really great substantial pieces at your thrift stores. For example, this glass canister was $10, again, got 35% off. If you don't happen to find that at your thrift store, you can also check the Target dollar spot. These glass canisters are really great for kitchen organization. So just about $7 for this really nice sized glass canister. What's nice about canisters is, yes, of course, you can use them as canisters, but at this exact moment, I don't have anything that requires this much space. So it can be as simple as removing the lid, saving it for later because I might need it in the future. But for now, vases that are this size, even from Hearth & Hand, are going to be $29.99 and up. Fill the vase with water, and it is a really high-end look for almost nothing. Another glassware item, of course, is candles. Now the candles through the Hearth & Hand line, they smell so good. They're in the most beautiful containers, and sometimes I cave, I buy them. But more often than not, I find really great candles at the thrift store. This is a soy wax candle with a wood wick that is originally from Target. It had been tagged for $3 on the retail side but didn't sell, so then it moves its way onto the bins, and then I can spend less than $1 on a really great smelling candle in a beautiful container. Get the look on a budget. Another area, especially during spring and summer, that I see pop up on a lot of high-end retailers are wall vases. And this is great for propagation or just any florals really. So I found this glass vase with a jute hanger from the Goodwill bins. It was probably about $1. I just needed to grab some jute from my stash because the jute that it came with was a little too small. Placed some tulips in here from the grocery store, and it is so beautiful in a cost-effective way. Now, if you don't get lucky and find a wall vase that's pretty much just ready to go, you can combine a few things together to get the look on a budget. Any wall sconce that looks like this one will really work for this project, as well as any glass vase. I just took a hurricane vase from the Dollar Tree as well as a bracelet from the jewelry section. Just going to combine all of these pieces together. I loved this sconce specifically because it had a hook for a towel, so great in a kitchen, great in a bathroom. I placed this right next to the door where we let our dog in, so when he has muddy paws, I can just hang the towel here, wipe them off, and it still looks beautiful on a budget. Moving along now into wall decor, my best advice is just look at the website, go to Target, get some inspiration, and see how you can get the look for less. I found this glass vase from the Goodwill outlet. You could of course just take the backing off and use it as a tray. One style of artwork that is sprinkled throughout the Magnolia website are sketches, and you can find sketches in so many different books. You can order something off Etsy. Does not need to cost anything close to what Magnolia is charging, and you can get really close on a budget. I've been seeing a lot of equestrian inspired artwork through Magnolia, through McGee & Co. So when I found this one at the Goodwill outlet, paid just about $1 for it. I like thrifting artwork, like small artwork pieces like this that you're on the fence about, don't know how you're gonna feel about it once it's in your space, but you can do so affordably by testing it out, paying a little bit of money by shopping secondhand. Like the brass picture in the beginning, these brass rail wall mirrors is something that I've been loving from the Magnolia site, and I figured I would never really find anything like this at the thrift store. I've tried to DIY it in the past, and then I came across this, and it was $18 at the Hartville thrift shop, which is kind of expensive for them. Usually I think they're a lot cheaper, but then I looked at the tag and understood why. It was missing one of the brackets to attach it to the wall, but normally was retailing for almost $150. If you're not in need of a mirror, you could of course take the mirror out and add some really beautiful artwork to it. In order then to attach it to the wall, instead of trying to match what was existing, I just decided to grab these J hooks from Crazy Bin so I can just sit it inside of those. I'm definitely still going to keep looking for some patinaed brass, maybe curtain rod hooks, but in the meantime, this is a good interim solution on a budget. Another style is of course abstract artwork. For example, this torn paper art piece, you can't return it after you buy it. It's hundreds of dollars, and you can either DIY something similar or just find something at the thrift store. For example, I found this paper artwork at the Goodwill retail side in basically perfect condition with my coupon. I try to save my coupons for when my amount is a little bit higher, so it's worth more, bringing the overall cost down to just about $13. This is a nice substantial piece of wall art. It can be a great anchor for any fireplace, any dresser, any credenza, but on a budget. When I'm shopping anywhere, whether it's high-end or thrift, I understand the price point more when it's textile or material based, because some materials are just more expensive than other materials. For example, I'm not sure what's going on at our house, but I was able to find so many high quality textiles, this whole pack of leather fabric. Now, granted, they're just swatches, but you could connect them together to make a lumbar pillow or an ottoman. 21 swatch pieces for under $10 is a really great price point, and I plan on using this material a lot come the fall season. Also from our house at a different thrift store at the Hartville thrift shop, I found these swatches. Again, really great quality. I found this boucle fabric for just $1. It's just enough to, again, make a pillow, reupholster a chair, make an ottoman, but you're getting genuinely good fabric for such a low cost. And it can really just stretch your dollar that much farther and make your space just that much more beautiful. When it comes to pattern, anything linear, you're going to get that Hearth and Hand Magnolia look, any linear pattern. I found this valance from Threshold at the Goodwill bin, so probably paid about 25-50 cents for it. You can of course use this as a valance. You can also use it as a table runner. You can turn this into a really nice sized lumbar pillow for your bedroom. There is a ton of different options, but if you do anything with this fabric, it will overall really give you that Hearth and Hand Magnolia look. Also, if ever you find a set of 2 placemats, these were originally from World Market for $5 a piece. I paid probably, again, 25-50 cents for each of them. I'm just going to turn these into a little lumbar pillow for my living room, of course, after washing them. But you're really just not going to find a grid pillow for 50 cents when you shop retail, but if you shop secondhand, you can get there very easily. Last but not least, we can't talk about Magnolia and Hearth in Hand and not talk about all of the really beautiful, really detailed wooden decor. When you're out thrifting, you want to look for pieces that have a aged, vintage, primitive look to them or have a little bit of extra detail to them. An example is, of course, these wood risers that I found from the Goodwill outlet that have a more rustic look to them, just needed to be sanded down, and then I wanted to use this new stain that I've been loving recently. We're gonna be doing an outdoor makeover, and I used the stain to refinish an old table and chair set for my back patio, but you can also use it in small scale projects like these. Oftentimes you have so much stain left over, so I like to utilize supplies that I already have as much as possible. With all that being said, that really wraps it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments which hack or project or find was your favorite this week, and I will see you back here next Sunday. Bye for now.